Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Rob. I'm on a journey of intentional living, kind of reframing the way I look at things in life and how I want to live. So today I'm just walking out here in Governor Dodge Park outside of Madison, Wisconsin. Been doing a lot of thinking lately. Searching for jobs hasn't gone well. There's so many people in my industry that are out of work at the moment and been out of work for a while. So part of what I did was I started my own LLC to do penetration testing. Put together a mission statement in terms of the types of clients that I want to work for. Really keeping an eye on doing enough work to pay for my bills and put a little money away, but not get rich. And I want to work for companies that are doing good in this world, have similar values that I do, pay people living wages. I won't be doing penetration testing for Dow Chemical or anything like that anytime soon. Plenty of big companies that'll take their money. But I wanted to talk about some realizations that I had and how, I'm guilty of a lot of this stuff in terms of knowing where my food comes from, not being a consumer or so much of a consumer, wanting to, raise my own food. And in those ways, I've talked to an eco village so far. It's just starting out, and they're up in Minnesota. And they seem really nice. They're just starting. These people that I talk to own the land. And you would sign a 99-year lease, build a house on it. Probably more than likely, I would end up doing straw bale with a rocket thermal mass heater, among other things. So that's an option. I also recently took a meager retirement that I had, I took the penalties and I cashed out on that. And reason being, I want to be intentional about taking work. I got an interview tomorrow with a place. It's a corporation. Part of what I want to tell them is that I have boundaries. In the past, if I went for a job interview, I was compliant as hell. I'll take the paycheck. I'm happy to be working. And that got me nowhere. That got me fired eventually when I didn't meet new management's ideals. So I want to be intentional about where I work. I'll also tell this place that giving up my business is not an option. I could contract for them if they wanted to do penetration testing. Otherwise, I could do straight sales engineering for them. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to jump at something just to get a paycheck. The fact that over the past 6 years since my divorce, I've consciously been trying to kill all that debt. Paid off my student loans, paid off credit card debts. Yeah, there was a lot of lawyer bills, a lot of stuff like that. So I was able to pay those things down until, I was quite nearly debt free. So up until my firing, I had about $10,000 worth of credit card debt. So that is to say, my monthly expenditures have been internet and rent and some minimums on a credit card. Doesn't feel great, but I want to have some money on hand in case I do have to move or an opportunity comes up. But I wanted to talk about things that I've been learning, revelations that I've been having. And one of them is that, I don't have to live a traditional life. I can live a small life. I can still have my bikes, mountain bike, and that sort of thing. But I mean, luckily I had some money saved up as I was trying to buy a house. The amount of money that you need to put down on a house is pretty considerable if you want to be responsible about it and not go into debt. And I was trying to be very deliberate about that. And luckily, unluckily, I have that money, and that's what I can live on for a while. It's eating the down payment for stuff. So taking some sort of a corporate job that aligns with my values would be nice. I'd like the paycheck. Starting this business, I can't even say it's in its infancy. I have tooling, I need to find clients, so it's still, I think eventually I'll be able to, but I want to be intentional about it. I want to be intentional about the companies that I work for. So much of my life has been unintentional, rolling from one thing to another, not really with a lot of thought, just keep the money coming in, working towards that goal of, the American dream, whatever that is. Yeah, in Minnesota, and I can build a straw bale home. And the research that I've been doing in terms of cold winters, they do really well. There's a lot of thermal mass and insulation, natural insulation. And there's a lot of things that go on to make sure that you're getting the right type of straw, put it together the right type of way. So, YouTube University, I'll continue studying on that. But lately, YouTube's been bringing me a whole bunch of people that are living these dreams already. One woman who I just discovered yesterday, she lives in upstate New York, and she brought up some things that I hadn't really considered in the way that she described them. And that's a commoditization of things that the earth can provide for us. Water, for instance. I'm so used to my water coming from pipes, and it always kind of works. And you pay a water bill, and that's that. Not even to have a well, but to have a place that you can pull water from, or pump. And I'm also talking about all the food and the food that you can raise, and more I want to live seasonally. I want to not import the foods that I want within reason, and do things like what I'm doing today, which is looking for elm and other trees, and then looking for morel mushrooms. I'm looking forward to doing stuff like that. But ultimately, I want to live my life in a different way. As I move forward, I don't want to be like I have been in the past, taking a job because it's offered to me, or because the pay is good, or the potential for stock options, or whatever. They are things that in my industry, people, including myself, chased after. And ultimately, it leads to working 50, 60-hour weeks, sacrificing your free time. And I always used to look at exercise and mountain biking when I was married as not something that paid the bills. So why waste your time going for a mountain bike ride? Yeah, but it feeds the soul. And for a long time, I ignored that. I was like a lot of people, looking for something deeper, the meanings of life, or make sense of it, or make sense of why I want to go to work, or why I continue going to a job that I hate, working for people that I would never hang out with. But more importantly, weren't interested in the work-life balance that I was talking about wanting to maybe go down to a 4-day work week. And probably what I eventually got me fired. I want to be careful about the jobs that I take. Whether it's a short-term job with a corporation, small company. In this case, it's a Madison-based company. They liked my resume, they wanted to talk more. We'll see. But I'm definitely going to have boundaries, which I've never had before with a job. In the past, whatever you want. I'm a hard worker. I'll work as many hours as you want. Yeah, it was just how I was. Not anymore. I'm trying to avoid the sun here. It's a beautiful sunny day. You can see the blue sky. And yeah. So I was just sitting in therapy, hour and a half session talking about this stuff, talking about the Intentional Life podcast, Intentional Life Project YouTube channel, and talking about some of the things that I want to do, some of the things that I want to prioritize. And it's interesting. It's also interesting because 10 years ago, 6 years ago even, if today myself met myself then, I would have rolled my eyes like, okay, hippie, whatever. Whatever. Keep going, hippie. But something's changed along the way. I mean, I've done a lot in terms of therapy and dealing with pain from my childhood, losing my father at 28, which isn't a lot, but when you consider that for half of my life, so 16 years or so of my growing up, he was an alcoholic. And then the last part of his life, he was sober, but he was working 2 jobs. And my mom was bipolar and still an alcoholic. So I kind of came to the realization the other day that when I was 27, 28, I've been doing a lot of looking at old photos and reading through some of his AA books where he would write in the margins. It was like a diary. And he had times where, like, when I was living out of a car down in Durango, Colorado, and chasing those dreams of being a mountain bike professional, I never realized how proud he was of me. I mean, he might have told me, but, the first 25, 26 years of life, you're barreling through. And I did the math, and he's about as old as I am now when he was writing these things back in like 1993, 1994. Yes, I'm that old. So I'm 53 now, and it's interesting that he came to sobriety and slower, intentional living and living mentally healthy around the age that it's coming to me. So I feel in a certain way he's probably guiding me. But part of what I talked about with my therapist too was the fact that I didn't have a role model. When I was finally at the point where I was starting to realize things about life, I lost my father. He died of cancer. What I'd like to do is I'd like to try to be, even if I just put these out on YouTube and somebody sees it and they were going through the same thing, or they didn't have a father figure at a point where, they wanted to look at how to live life more intentionally or live life like an adult. Some families had all that guidance. I didn't. And it's not that I'm not crying. Like, if I could go back and change my father dying of cancer, I wouldn't necessarily do it. He was on his path. And in all honesty, where I am here today, the person that's in front of you talking to you through YouTube, I wouldn't be this person. And I'm pretty damn proud of who I am as a person and the direction that I'm going and wanting to live with intent. So today's message is, still figuring stuff out, moving forward, living an intentional life, whether it's in a community or being able to buy a piece of land and homesteading that and living off grid. Yeah, just providing for myself and being able to take on as much work as I need, but not much more, so that I have time to do the things that I love, paddling, or be outside when it's beautiful instead of sitting in an office looking outside the window and maybe going to get an hour, if I'm lucky, if I still have energy at the end of the day, to go out and enjoy it. It's just not enough for me. I did that for years. Wasn't satisfying. And moving forward, I want to be intentional about my choices, and that's one of them. How I want to spend my time. I want to exchange my work and the energy that I put into it, and I want it to go towards places that I believe in, places that are treating their employees well. Don't necessarily put profit first, or maybe doing things that are good for the planet. Those are the types of places that I want to exchange my time for money and do it on my own terms. I want to have a set number of clients that can make me X number of dollars a year, and I won't take on more work. And that way I can focus on those people and those clients better. And I also have more time to do other things, to pursue hobbies, to write, to journal, to walk in the woods looking for mushrooms. So anyway, it's a lot of talking for today. I want to try to do this style more. There's a guy, Rob the Mariner. I can link up there to him. I like him. He's up in Canada. He'll do a lot of walks and talk. I'm not as succinct as he is. He probably scripts it more, but I'll find my rhythm at some point. And I will also put a link over here to the one woman in upstate New York that I just discovered. She just started. She's got tens of thousands of followers already, which tells me that people are craving this. So, yeah. What would you do if you could live intentionally? Just think about that. Think about the fact that you don't have to live in a way that you think you have to. You can make your own choices. You can shrink your life down. Now, granted, if you have kids and debt, like I did, but it took me years to work off the debt. But it was all to prepare me for what? I wasn't sure, but I wanted to live with very little debt. At the time, it was to be able to purchase a house and be able to put more money away, and that worked. But just like in nature, you adapt to changes, whether it's the weather or whatever, floods, landslides. Nature always kind of finds a way and readjusts, and that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be able to flow with that. And so, along the way, I can talk about this journey. You can ask me questions. And eventually, as I'm getting closer, I'll share more of this research. I do want to do an episode on intentional living communities and eco-villages and how I found them and what I looked for and what I discovered and what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and what makes me a little bit wary. But I'm open to possibilities. And I think that you should too. Dream a little bit. Think about how you're living and how you want to be. I mean, if you got retirement and you're working towards that, I mean, let's be honest, average American lives to about 75, maybe 80. If you're going to retire at 65, I mean, your body's broken down at that point. I want to start that kind of retirement living now while being intentional, living small, and being able to do and see the things that I want to. So anyway, hope this made sense. And, like and subscribe and drop a comment if this resonates with you, if there's things that you want to hear about. Let's